This is for Cameron. Cam.
What is up, college football fans? My name is Mountaineer Paul. This evening, we're going to be talking about a subject a lot of you guys are really hungry for. We're talking about college football. It's like the Big 12 finally gets another big deal done. And I got a guy coming on that a lot of you guys have probably heard of. He's known around as a numbers guy. And I heard last night at Halloween he dressed up as a Roman numeral. That's how much of a numbers guy he is. Talking to Tony Altimore. How we doing, Tony?
Hey, Paul, doing great. How you doing? Excited to finally be here on the channel. It's awesome. You do a really great job, and so it's a lot of fun to hear.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I heard through the grapevine he dressed up as a Roman numeral. Is this true?
I wish. That would have been a good one. Maybe next year. I was an imaginary number. That was my costume last night.
All right. So, big news. Some people think that maybe it was actually leaked news, but Sports Business Journal yesterday, we find out it's a 6-year, $2.2 billion deal, around $380 per year, somewhere in that range, around $31.7 million a team. What was your initial reaction to this deal? Were you shocked at all, or had you heard rumblings?
So I was surprised that it came together as fast as it did, given what we'd heard from some people coming out. But I thought that the numbers were just what we expected, which was great. And the partners were just what we expected, which was great. And I'll tell you, I think that this gives the Big 12 everything it needs to be stable and successful moving forward. And so I was excited for the Big 12. I also think that one of the big things that it really does is it gives the conference a very clear path for the future so that they know what's happening. One of the things that I really think that the Big 12 has been screwed over on is really the PTSD that comes from all the uncertainty of all the chaos. It has been a horrible, year and 2 months for the Big 12. And this locks in the future. And it says, okay, This is going to be a strong conference moving forward on prime linear networks, getting good money. All those fears, those terror moments with the Texas state legislature last year with Bob Bowlesby thought you guys were going to be down to as low as 14, fell apart. And I mean, no surprise here because we knew what the market valuations were. We knew they've gone up. We knew you guys were looking at about the 30 range from what, not the idiots on Twitter, but the actual media prognosticator people who know this stuff told us that would be about that. That's exactly what it was. And I think it gives the conference everything you need to be successful going forward.
And we talked a little bit about this off camera. Brett Yormark being criticized for possibly taking a safe route out instead of waiting 18 months. You said you thought he did a pretty good job taking the money, getting in first,
great job.
And you get to go to the table before everybody else does in 6 years. How do you feel about that?
I thought so first of all, I think he's done a great job. Again, I get a little annoyed because I thought they've been a little lusty after the Arizona schools, which is, I think, has actually kind of hindered them because if it not for that, I think he would be universally revered as doing a bang-up job. Brett Yormark came into a rough job because the thing about the Big 12 is so much of the Big 12's identity was just dominated by Texas as the schoolyard bully, and that left a vacuum. And I thought, I've talked about this with the Sikkim guys a year and a half ago, that when the new commissioner needed to be somebody confident, focused on just the Big 12, who's not the Big 12 without Texas, who's just the Big 12 is a great place to be. And that's him. And so he came in, he negotiated a great deal, linear networks, everything you guys could have wanted. Could you have done a little better if you waited another, 6 months or a year, or done a more complicated, joint thing with some streaming people, brought some in, did some more creative things, other networks, maybe brought in Turner, who knows? You could have gotten a little bit more, but I think the Big 12 needed a win. It's kind of like, you and I laughed about this before. I said it's like at halftime, you kick a field goal and you take the points and it's awesome and you win the game.
Right.
And that was what I thought. I thought he had okay, you know what?
You get momentum.
We've got the momentum, lock it in, take the points, win, and you're good to go. Because I mean, the big thing is in all honesty, an extra $2 million a year. Was that nice? Yeah, that's nice. That's $2 million. But with what the Big 12 has been through in the past year and a half, you're great. Like, it's great. It's locked in. It's done. It's no more surprises. I'm excited for it because I think it lets the conference move forward successfully and have the money to move forward.
And not a one-trick pony as far as where this conference can be seen at. Fox getting involved, ESPN getting involved, ESPN getting the top 4 games, 6 of the top 8, 12 of the top 20. Fox gets the leftovers, I assume. College basketball, the Big 12 title game, they get Fox. Fox gets 26 games, which are a priority for them. I mean, it really went both ways. So you're going to get basketball on Fox, which really hasn't been shown a whole lot for the Big 12. Mostly the better football games will be on ESPN. And still yet, you've got Fox as what's not used. You really can't go wrong. And obviously the ESPN Plus app is going to be used for a lot of this. It's going to be involved.
The ESPN Plus app is great because that is also lets you have, like, if you're somebody that is a fan of a non-revenue sport, or you're somebody that's just like a huge West Virginia fan or whatever, there's going to be a lot of West Virginia sports available to watch on that
Sure.
app. And the ESPN app is really like the best. Oddly, the Pac-12, because of infrastructure they've put in, is really good at this too. But like the ESPN app is the best like distribution platform you could have. There's some people who let themselves get a little carried away with some nonsense. And so they were really upset. They thought that this number was going to be bigger than it was because they were not reading good sources. This is a good number.
Right.
This is a very, very good number. It's not
What number did you hear people thinking it was going to be?
I heard stupid people saying 55 just in media rights. I heard a lot of people. So another thing, by the way, so the Big 12, because of Texas, blame all your ills on Texas. Insisted on keeping its insisted on keeping its tier 3 rights. Nobody else in any other conference talks about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It's a very Big 12 thing because of the fact that Texas held them out, and so all the other schools used to have their own. They would sell. Well, you guys eventually smartened up, grouped them together, sold them all to ESPN to be on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And then
Speaking of that, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
And you'd given me something I'm going to throw up on the screen here, something you put together, and I'll just let you kind of go over it and explain it.
So we put this together last night for Mark Rogers' channel, just to help everybody kind of understand how the conferences compare. Because what we're really seeing is, and this is the same thing that, again, a lot of the smart folks have said the whole time, Big 12, ACC, Pac-12 are almost identical in their media revenue. And they've turned down an offer of 30, so they think they're going to get like 30, 33, 35, something like that. It's going to be right there, the same thing as the Big 12 and the ACC. And then
everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. And then the other thing is there's another piece that is separate, which is this extra bit of chunk of money that comes from the conferences. First of all, that contract is not negotiated yet. We don't know exactly what that's going to be.
Right. There's an estimate out there, but
exactly. And the second thing is you also have to pay for the conference. It's about a $20 million chunk that every school in all 5 conferences will end up with a fairly similar added on chunk that comes from their share of basketball, their share of NCAA, and this is not college, I'm sorry, it's not regular season basketball, it's March Madness basketball, their share of college football playoff and stuff like that. Every school gets one big hefty number. So when you guys are seeing 50 total, it means it's the 30 media plus in 2026, not today, but in 2026, when you have the new playoff with more money, there's probably going to be about another 20 million of additional money that gets added into that. So it's
no, I was saying, to your point, like you said, the valuation can both be a year ago, possibly at 14 million. We're looking at a $10 million, so it's from what we have right now, a $10 million increase. From that, it's even more.
But remember, too, your contract is really old. So the thing is if you guys still had Texas and Oklahoma, this 32 million would probably be, I don't know, 50.
Yeah, we'd be up there with the SEC, I'd say.
You'd probably be pretty close to the SEC.
Sure.
So it just is what it is. This is a great number. This is a win. Like, I know folks are always looking to look for the the glass half empty, but this is a glass $32 million full.
Another thing I wanted to mention is there is a clause in this contract that says, but if there's anybody added to the conference in the future, they have a clause in there stating that it won't dilute the numbers, which I thought was an important thing to add. Of course, one of the four corner schools probably would not. I don't know how that would work there, if that would dilute or add. Don't really know. But
they would probably be positive overall. But like Paul and I talked, none of those schools want to come over. But if, for example, the Big Ten gets hungry, and we're hearing, by the way, from everyone, this is not happening. Not happening. Right. But they have smartly got it into the contract. Brady Remark, smart, brilliant guy, doing awesome stuff, has smartly put it in the contract to be like, hey, you know what? If we had the opportunity to add some people, we've got it built in to add in there. Because there's some other great potential expansion candidates like Memphis, like Tulane, like Boise, maybe San Diego State if they don't end up in the Pac. I think they're going to end up in the Pac-12. But if there's great schools, the easy ones that come to mind, of course, are Memphis, Boise, Tulane, San Diego. You could always talk about Air Force, USF. There's so many great potential schools as well.
Sure.
And that's assuming that, that the four corner schools don't want to come. The example Paul
just like happened to West Virginia.
Just like you guys. You guys didn't want to leave the Big East, but when you had to, the Big 12 is a wonderful, awesome place. And I think it's the same thing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I completely 100% agree with you on all that. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I may come out with a list now since we've got this number and it's
what I've been told is now they have this done. Now they go to each of the schools and they have to get the new grant of rights signed. And with the new grant of rights, then they sign the new contract. But essentially the deal is done. The deal is done.
For once, I would just, as a football fan, I'd like to say somebody give Boise State a chance somewhere. They played some of the best football in the last 20 years. They deserve it, but unfortunately, I don't make those kind of decisions.
Those have to have been the conversations that Brett Yormark's been having with ESPN and Fox to be like, hey, who in this is going to get us that additive share, so it's not diluted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we know he's been having those conversations. We know he's going to make smart decisions. They may, and this sucks for like Boise and those in Memphis and those guys. They may just make sure. What I think they're doing is which is smart thing to do, is just make sure that the Pac-12 gets everything settled. The Big Ten's grabby hands are in its pockets, and then move forward with whatever the Big 12 wants to do.
Tony, tell everybody where they can find you at on all your social media platforms. If you've got any shows that we don't know about you doing out there.
Sure, Paul. You guys, I'd love to interact with you guys. Love my West Virginia friends. You can always find me on Twitter at TJ Altimore. It's right there on the screen. And then I help on Wednesdays with Mark Rogers. We do a Pac-12 show. And if you're really brave, we do a USC post game. But yeah, just tweet at me anytime, guys. Hit me up, there, Instagram, whatever. Always glad to chat. And Country Roads, Q Country Roads.
Q Country Roads. And if you guys haven't liked and subscribe to the channel, if you haven't liked the video, we really appreciate that. We're growing at a really, really fast rate. We've gained almost 300 subscribers inside of 3 weeks. So we're hoping to do better. We're hoping to grow more. It's been really exciting. A lot of you guys have been really some positive feedback. So
let me interrupt and tell you, you do an awesome job on this channel. You really do. I love watching it, and it's an honor to be here.
Thanks, man. That really means a lot. And I'm really thankful that people like yourself come on here and give me a little bit of credibility.
You deserve it all. Hey, thanks again. Fight on, everybody.
This show is over. Nightmare Paul is out.
This is for Cameron. 10 King.